Hi, Joe. It's good to see you.
Hi, Claire. How you doing?
I'm
Good to see
really
you too.
well. Yeah, I'm really well. Thank you. Thank you very much for being on this podcast with me.
My pleasure.
Uh,
It's been a joy, and thank you for asking me. And I'm just so proud of what you're doing. So thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it is really exciting to be talking to you because I haven't talked to you for ages. It's many months since we caught up with each other. And so I'm delighted that we get to talk here on the podcast today.
I know so much has happened in between, hasn't it?
Yeah,
There's been a lot.
absolutely.
There's
So much.
yeah, there's been a lot.
So I wanted to start by asking you about the fact that you even moved from America to Italy. Where did you move from? Where
I
is
moved
home in
um
America?
Pennsylvania. I moved from Pennsylvania all the way across the pond to Italy in the Mantova region. So it's
Mm.
beautiful. I wouldn't trade it for all the tea in China. It's just absolutely beautiful. Yes. But
And
it hasn't been easy for sure, but it's been beautiful.
mm, and when just for my understanding, because I know the obvious bits about Italy, where geographically are you in Italy? Just north, south?
So we are pretty much we are counted as the North Star of Italy. It is north central Italy.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
lovely.
in the Lombardia region. So we are Mantova area in the Lombardia region of Italy. So
Beautiful.
it's actually the best location. We are literally 2 hours away from some of the most incredible cities in the world. So if you were to go 2 hours one way, you go Verona, Venice, and then you've got all the different, Bologna down below, Florence, Pisa, and then you make your way back up and there's Milan. And
Mm.
it's basically, where I am is basically the crossroads to all of these incredible towns. So fantastic. Really
Uh,
cool.
that's very, very lovely. Because one of the beautiful things about living somewhere is being able to integrate into the environment you're in. And I'm living in Massachusetts and I have managed to get a little bit out, not really much out of Massachusetts, but my exploration has been very minimal by comparison to what you're saying. And one of the things that I've experienced in the past living in different countries is really getting to know the environment I live in and knowing the people. So how are you finding that? How easy is it for you to integrate into Italy because if I'm correct in saying this, you don't speak Italian, or do you?
Not yet. I'm learning horribly with American accent. So even when I do speak Italian, they don't know what I'm saying. I guess I say everything with a smile. It has been, overall, I'd say the people are so nice and they're so warm and so welcoming. Italy is a very warm country. They really do try to help. Uh, but the difference is they do want you to speak Italian.
Mm,
And so I found that the more I, try my hardest to speak Italian, the more they appreciate it. Some things have been a challenge. The grocery store for me has been a challenge. I'm used to buying the big bags, American flour, big 25-pound bag of flour or sugar and Costco, Walmart. And when you buy everything here, it's 1 kilo,
mm,
6 eggs. And I'm used to buying 5 dozen eggs at a time. So certain things have been a trial, trying to find what those are in Italian at the grocery store to me has been probably more challenging because
mm,
if I'm baking something, I know what I need ingredients wise. And then when I go to the grocery store, nothing is packaged the way that I'm used to.
mm,
But it's also been a great way to discover new things and say,
mm,
oh, okay, well, let's try this. Let's do this. So I would say it's really, Italy has been really welcoming, and the people here have been really great at saying, oh, you should try this. You should go here. You should do this, and they're extremely helpful when you need it.
mm.
Really helpful. A lot of dates too. a lot of, ladies, be careful because if you say ciao and how are you doing, they think you want to go for coffee. And you're like, oh,
So you're invited out a lot, are you?
yeah, yeah. So,
That would be a great way of learning Italian quickly.
yeah,
Going on lots of coffee dates.
yeah, lots of, and and it's so great. It's the hardest thing I think for me since I got here was the lunchtime
Mm,
because as you know, in America, people eat in their car. Like we are busy, we are getting to the next appointment. It's go time. You go from the minute you get up and you're on it. And here it's like relaxed and it's slower. Not that the work is slower, but it's just they leisure, they enjoy the day. And
mm,
so to take a break between 12 and 2 when I first got here drove me bonkers. But now it's like, oh, I could take a nap if I could take a nap. I could just putter around. I could read a book at that time. I can stay indoors. I don't have to do anything.
mm,
And it's really nice that all the stores close down, everything, and it's almost as if your body is allowed to just rest and recuperate. Because for me in the States, I sold international steel buildings and industrial steel buildings, and I sold industrial lighting. So I had to hustle, and I ate in my car, and my lunch break was, as I ordered the food, eating to my next appointment, hoping
mm.
nothing on my shirt. So to be able to have that time to actually cook a really good meal and just relax, it's fantastic. I recommend it to everybody. Please come. This should be the new way of life to every single person in the world. Yeah, it's great.
Well, it's really good because it sounds like the language isn't a barrier and the lifestyle is one that you're really enjoying. Because I'm certainly picking up here in the States of a very intense work-life balance. I'm not 100% sure if there is a balance. People work very hard, minimal holidays. And the lifestyle you're describing sounds like yeah, something that gives you space, that gives you time. And so you must appreciate that after as a contrast.
Well, let's just say in America, I was I was an outdoor sales rep, and I also had my office, and so I was in the office, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was on the road, and then
Mm,
I would come back Sunday, and I was hustling all the time. I was working. I was, and in order, if I brought in, say, $40,000 of sales one week, the next week I better double it, right?
mm,
That was the marker. It was never good enough. It always had to be more, more, more. And it wasn't just what I wanted. It was the ambitions of my managers. They would say, okay, you brought in this. So next week your goal is this. And I'm like, oh, I'm on the road like 7 days a week to make this happen. What do you mean goal is that? And it was to the point that I was stressed all the time.
mm,
And the beautiful home that I had in Pennsylvania, I had to hire like a gardener to do my yard because I wasn't there to do. And it would really bother me to go, I have this beautiful home, but I'm not here to enjoy it. I'm
mm,
here maybe, you know. So, I mean, but at the same time, I'm sure you see how beautiful America is. There's so many, different layers of America. America is beautiful. And the thing that I get asked out here a lot is, what's Costco like? What's Walmart like? They want to know about the shopping, the malls. They want to know, what is it like over there? And then there's certain differences too, because when you go to McDonald's here, it's like gourmet. It's like going to Red Robin in America. It's so nice. It's so nice. They bring you, like, if you get a cappuccino in the morning, they bring it to you in a china cup on like a porcelain plate, and you're like, what? You don't get this at McDonald's back home. They don't even know what cappuccino nothing is over there. So here it's just different. It's
mm,
just I love I you know it hasn't been easy, but I wouldn't trade it because the peace that I feel here is great. The
mm.
art of fermente, doing nothing. So sometimes you just sit and do nothing, and it's great.
Well, moving to Italy was very much a choice, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't a have to. It wasn't, you didn't do it for anyone. You didn't do it for a job. You didn't do it for anything other than a choice from yourself. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I chased the dream.
Mm. And
I
say more about that. What was your dream? What prompted
well,
Italy? And yeah.
it still is. So my dream is La Bella Sabinita and La Bella Sabinita Luxury Resort. So there's two buildings now. When you and I met, there was only one building, and the second building came along. We are doing a Kickstarter and an Indiegogo campaign to raise the funds to do the restorations for that. But the dream was to come here, do a bed and breakfast, to serve people, to serve all walks of life, and to give them the Italian experience that we all dream about. To be able to give them the dream on the platter. So, we've still had some delays, we've still had some setbacks, but we're still going forward and been able to. It's actually opened up a lot of opportunities for me. So here, I've been able to open up a product line, wine line, um, olive oil, like gourmet products. So these are our products that are going up on the website, and it's wines, non-alcoholic wines, olive oil, red wine vinegar, pasta, sauce, and coffee,
Mm.
the staple food. Yeah, so
Absolutely the staple foods and all very authentic to Italy. And then is your intention that they're exported to the US or they're yeah.
So it come in the next few months, we are going to be having our website, and it's going to be amazing, where all of these products are going to be introduced with the memberships and the subscription. So there's two different things that we're going to be doing. The membership is the ability to get the discount. The subscription is how you want your product ordered, and how you want to receive it, whether it's monthly, every 3 months, every 6 months. So we've been able to create, and with that, there's certain discounts, which
Mm,
is exciting. So very excited. Yeah, so I'm so excited. You guys can order the wine, you can order everything, and everything that we have is the very highest quality.
mm,
What we have been able to purchase has been the highest standard. And if you know Italy, Italy is very strict when it comes to their export and their import.
mm,
Anything that says high-end luxury or highest quality, it has to be 100% backed and proven. So we were able to buy the batches of the highest quality wine, award-winning wine, and the olive oil itself has a black seal crest on the top, being that it is the most superior olive oil outside of truffle olive oil. Awesome, yeah. So I'm very excited about that, and then just so many wonderful things. So it's actually opened up a different business avenue that I never thought possible in
mm.
America. So.
Yeah. So your dream has expanded. It started as one thing and is this is one thing I'm finding in common with people, both myself and with other people who've moved countries, is you might start with an idea, you might even start with a big idea, you might start with a purpose, but often once the move has instigated, once you've arrived in your destination, there are surprises, good and not so good, and one has to respond to them and engage with them. But out of doing that, opportunities arise. I didn't step into America and say, I'm going to do a podcast. So it's amazing what arises when you're really kind of attentive to what's going on, what occurs as a natural thing, as a
Well,
next
and
step.
and I think, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think the more you allow yourself to relax, and I think that everybody should travel. Everybody should go to different countries. Everybody, should not just live in the picket fence, because
Mm,
there's so much out there. You get exposed to cultures and diversity, and just different things. Things that I like now, I never thought I would have ever liked. I would have said, "Oh, that's kind of weird," but it's really nice because, like you said, it starts here, but then as I've relaxed, I've allowed myself to allow the creativity to go, okay, where are we going next? What makes sense? Where are we going next? So let's do this. And the dream's taken me in some pretty cool places, just like, with you going to America. It's
mm.
been
And I have a question. If you backtrack a little, often, when you've got young adult children, I believe, and when um um children become university age or whatever, they tend to be the ones who travel and disappear and go, bye, mum. And in your case, you're the one who flew the nest. So what's it like being the older person, the pet, not age-wise, I mean the parent who's leaving. How does that go down with family members and things like that? Do they see it as odd, or is it just it
Well,
was, it's just natural?
it's, my daughter calls me senior citizen adolescent. So I mean, we always joke that we had a Freaky Friday moment and we never switched back, that I'm the child and she's the parent. So no, I'm just teasing. I think as a parent, it was harder. It was harder older because when we're young, we're fearless. We're like, oh yeah, I can conquer the world in 40 days. It'll be awesome. As we get older, we've gone through life. We've gone through setbacks. We've gone through
Mm,
heartbreaks. We've gone through failures. And the big what if this doesn't work is like a guillotine. It just looms over you. And I think as you go older, you either go with greater joy and anticipation or you go with greater fear. I was terrified, literally. And what really helped was when we came to look at the place, my daughter actually came with me, and she was going to be the voice of reason because I tend to be a Sagittarius and very impulsive. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. And she tends to be, pros and cons and think about it this way. And when we got here, she was actually, Mom, if you don't do this, you know, I will not be happy, because she's like, this fits you in every way, shape, and form. And so to back up that, I was a single mom for many years where whatever my personal dreams and goals were, they were put aside so that I can raise my children.
mm,
So my focus was never on myself. My focus was, okay, what do I need to do to make sure this bill is paid or this bill is paid?
mm,
I never had the freedom to just go, okay, this is what I want to do. Let's just. So when the time and the opportunity aligned, and it was right, and it truth, I think people need to know that it is scary. There is a, I know you were afraid going to America. There's a panic that rises up inside you, but at the same time, the picture that I have on my Facebook as my icon or my logo, and I have it on TikTok and I have it on different ones, is so important to me because it was the day before I left. I was so excited about the dream and so terrified, but it was the potential of what was in front of me. And nobody knew COVID was going to happen when,
mm,
when we came. Nobody knew that flights weren't going to be as easy to come by, or so, that part made it harder because I thought, oh, no problem. My kids can just come over. And then the world shut down, and it was kind of cast iron for a while. But when you have your children, adult children's blessing, and they say, it's time for you to go. It's time, not like, get out, go, it's time for you to go. But when they see the sacrifices that you made for them and for their
mm,
betterment and for their life, and they give you that opportunity as well, and they say, it's time for you to be your own person, and we're grown up, we're adults, we're fine. It made it a lot easier and it made it a lot harder because my relationship with my family and my children is of utmost importance. So all of my family is still back in the States, my children, everything, and I'm
mm,
here in Italy. But at the same time, I also see how I'm securing their future and how I'm making so certain things are going to happen to secure my family's future as well.
mm,
So you have to go, okay, do I miss my children? Every day,
mm,
every single day. But thank goodness to modern technology, we can talk like this.
mm,
Right? So it makes it not as hard because I'm still involved. Do I miss family weddings and birthdays, and yeah.
mm,
And that part, when you have a low day, you have to remember what your purpose is,
mm,
because otherwise those low days really, the pendulum really swings in the opposite direction. But coming, getting on the plane, it was really a mixture of I think I'm, what am I doing? Like, this is crazy. Like, I was in my late 40s when I came, like, what was wrong, right? And I just turned 52. So I hope I don't look at it. I feel like I'm much younger, but
Way younger.
right. But it was like, am I okay to do this at this point in my life? Like, and you personally do the pros and the cons and go, is
Mm,
this gonna work? Am I gonna fall on my face? And the greatest advice that I can say to somebody getting ready to jump is you might fail, you might land on your face. It may not work, but you have that experience. Whether it works or not, have you have had the courage to go and give yourself that experience. And probably another hard factor was leaving all your belongings behind, getting rid of everything and coming with
mm.
2 suitcases because it's right? 2 suitcases, you're wearing as many clothes as you can. You have like your bags and legal documents in your carry-on and everything. And so to decide what actually goes with my life, what do I leave? What do I give away? What's important? What do I have to take? And what can I fit in these 2 suitcases
Mm,
was probably hard, I think. That
mm,
made it, I don't know.
undoubtedly. Yeah,
Yeah.
before we moved to the States, we had to make those choices, and I found that very tough. You know, um, because you keep things for nostalgic reasons and so on, and you just have to make strict choices. But you've touched on something really interesting about the aspect of failing. And I remember the best advice I got before my husband and I moved to Nigeria was a family friend of ours said, what is the worst that can happen, and what is the worst decision you can take? What is the outcome you could take if the worst happened? And he goes, you'll just come home. Does that kind of thing stay with you, or do you feel you've closed the back door? Like, you've made the move and home is where you are, not home is a place you can return to. How do you
Well,
look at that?
my situation with that was a little bit different. My residency actually for the United States actually expired when because I had left and moved out of the United States and chose to live in a different country. So I had to literally give all of that up. And that was hard because that was a door that closed that for me, I'm a really religious, spiritual person. So I looked at it like the Christopher Columbus thing that, burn the ships, no retreat. And so going back home is always an option. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to be able to accomplish. And like you, I had a quote that has stayed with me for my whole life, and it was from my dad. And it was years ago when I was just barely divorced, from my kid's dad. My kids were super little, and I had an opportunity to be invited to audition for a plus size modeling thing, which was a new and upcoming industry in America. And I didn't want to go. And my boss is like, why are you not there? Like, you would represent all of these beautiful women. And I hummed, I hawed, I hummed, I hawed. My self-esteem was just so low. And I ended up finally, I showed up at work that day and my boss said, what are you doing here? Go to the audition. Go right now. Leave right now. And I grabbed my dad and I said, come on, let's go. And I ended up being one of the last candidates in the door. And I made it through that final round of the
Mm,
modeling, search, which freaked me out. I'm like, what? And then we had the opportunity to go and compete in California, for like contracts, TV, everything. And I wasn't going to go. And my dad said something so smart to me. And my dad says, if you don't go, you will always wonder and you'll never know.
mm,
That just, and he's my parents themselves are immigrants from South Africa. So they moved from South Africa all the way to Canada and then America when we were very little. So my parents did that with 4 little girls, me and my 3 sisters, and then had children along the way when we got to Canada and then America. So yeah, you know, in Canada, they had two more children. In America, they had, you know, five, six, how many? There's 10 of us in our family. So, so it's like, you know, they played like country bingo and let's have a child in that country. What should we do next? But it was, my dad said, you know, the fear was so intense when he was moving with my mom from South Africa. And imagine that was, you know, in 1970.
Mm,
So imagine no technology like this to stay in contact with your family. Long distance calls are outrageously expensive. We are so blessed that we can talk. We're different time zones, but it doesn't matter. We can connect. And
mm,
he said what drove him forward was, what if you never go, you'll never know. And
mm,
so I've kind of used that compass my whole life. If I, you know, and it's helped me to be courageous when I'm not courageous. It's helped me to go, what do I have to lose? You know, and sometimes, like you said, you fail and you fall on your face, and sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you're like, brush yourself off. You know, as girls, I think it hurts.
mm,
But at the same time, I can look back at my life and I see the spots that I think I failed, but people see the courage and go, "Oh, how did you do that?" And I'm like, "No, no, you don't understand. I failed. I was crying. I wasn't doing good." I'm like, "Ah." And y- but at the same time, it's now so easy for me to come here and go, "Okay, let's just hop a train and go to Verona. Let's go to Venice. Let's go here. Let's just explore. Let's go see." You know,
mm,
and it's made me a little bit more. I think we have to do that as we get
mm,
older, because we tend to become, when we're kids, we're on the playground, we're playing on, you know, everything, we're climbing, we're doing the monkey bars, you know, we're hanging upside down, we're falling on the asphalt, right on. As we get older, we're like, oh, what if I fall on the asphalt? Oh my gosh, I might
mm,
break a hip. I might do
mm,
this. And I think it allows us to have a new zest, a new wind, to be adventurous and young again and go, what if? What do we have to lose? But you get to have that experience of moving to America. And how exciting is that? That,
mm,
you know, whether you're there for a year or 2 years, you get to say, I lived there, where so many people are trying to go there, right?
mm, mm, mm.
And
Absolutely.
same thing for me. Like, I remember being a little girl flipping through travel magazines, and one day I'll go here, one day I'll go to Venice, and one day I'll go there. And to actually go here, it's like, oh,
Mm.
I'm doing it. We're doing it, Harry.
I love your dad's advice. If you never go, you'll never know. And on the one hand, you could argue, well, if you'll never know, it doesn't matter anyway. But on the other hand, if that urge is there, then following that impetus really makes a difference because
Yeah.
in the going and in the knowing, something is settled. And there's something else I hear in what you're talking about, and that is the real capacity to be present. Listening to you, the being, the life you're creating, the exploring, your use of adjectives is a state of being present. It's and I think and you referred back to children, and is that something that you find a really refreshing experience to be in the present? Obviously, we're dipping in and out the past, the future constantly, but what I mean is that sense of exploring, that sense of adventure. Do you find it easy to engage and be in the present?
I do. One of the things that I have made sure to do with that is I try to be a tourist every
Mm,
week.
mm,
I try to look at it always not, oh, I get to go here again. Like, I try to just, what have I not seen? What have I not tried? What have I not I really try to keep my eyes open as if I'm seeing it for the first time,
mm,
like a child would see it, you know.
mm,
And it is funny because people here, you know, they look at it like, oh, going to Rome this weekend. I'm like, what? Like, how cool is that? Oh my gosh, you're going to Rome, right? And they're like, yeah, no big deal. Go here, go there, and you know, and for me, I look at it like, I'm living in the place that I dreamed of when I was 12.
Mm,
So being that when life hits you hard, none of us know what's going on with life. We think we've got it all figured out, and then the ducks get out of the line and you're cleaning up the poop on the yard. You're like, just get in line. But when things happen, I had breast cancer, stage 4 breast cancer, 2009, 2010, and fought really hard to stay here. And then my cancer came back 5 years later with a vengeance in other areas, and it had spread. And so when you have that over you and your life is almost taken from you, you value it more. You value the experiences more. You don't just want to go and be there, but I think, like you said, to be present is so important because I used to remember looking at magazines when I was, a little child going, oh, they're sitting at the cafes and look how glamorous those women look and look at that. Oh, la-di-da, I would love to do that. And to go, I'm that person sending those memories back now
mm,
to my family. And so I don't want to ever take that for granted. I don't want to
mm,
take for granted that, I'm blessed to be here. It is a blessing because not everybody, not everybody stays in America. Not, you know, there's a lot of people who are being deported on a daily basis, right?
mm,
In all countries, not just America. And so I think, and there's so many people who have applied and applied and applied to come to America, to come to Italy, to come to other countries, and they're denied.
mm,
You don't have that,
mm,
right? So I think, for me, uh, I can't just be Italian because I'm not.
mm,
I'm a very multicultural person, and to blend in, I don't. Like, I mean, I wear more makeup than drag queens, and they like it. They're like, "Oh, girl, that's like, ooh, look at that." I'm tall. I've got red hair. I don't speak Italian. I try, but I do it with an American accent. Ciao, 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 ciao. And so I'm going to stand out no matter what. So
mm,
I think being in Italy has helped me to celebrate the present, to see things that I normally would never have known about. It's nice to sit and talk with the locals. Like I have some friends that, we talk and they tell me traditions. They tell me, certain foods, why certain foods are important, why they do things certain ways. And I think to really soak all of that up, that helps you really immerse yourself in the culture. But
mm,
I think that the mistake that people make is they try to be Italian. They try to be 100%, American. They try to be, and you can't. You have a beautiful British accent. You can't, right? There's
mm,
there's no way I can get rid of this. And it helps me to appreciate more, but I will always naturally stand out.
mm,
And I think you also have to be okay with that too, because you might have been part of the crowd in your native country, but then when you remove yourself and go somewhere else, you know, you
mm,
automatically stand out. And so it does help me to see things with fresh eyes every, one of the things I don't want to do is I don't want to wake up and not hear the church bells.
mm,
When you live by the train tracks, you get used to it. You're like, train. I didn't know there was like 4 trains that came by here because you
mm,
just don't hear it. But for me, I'm like, oh, the bells are going to go off, and I make sure I'm windows open, and so for me, I try to live as somebody who has chosen to be here
mm.
and, and chosen to spend my life here. And I just got my Italian residency. So excited.
Congratulations.
Yay, so excited about that. But I think it makes my choice easier to say I am, not a natural Italian, but I have chosen to make this my life. And
Mm,
I've chosen to be a part of this country and try fit in the best way that I can, even though it's not always going to be 100%. And
mm,
and to celebrate our differences, I think is okay too,
mm.
because all of my neighbors love it when I bake chocolate chip cookies. They're like, oh, she's making American cookies. They're extra nice to me on those days. They're like, "Oh, she's making apple pie."
Oh, it's brilliant. I have to say, I love apple pie and
Oh,
American cookies are undoubtedly fantastic. Um, it's there's a couple of things there you've said that I want to touch on. I've never really think you've in my own traveling experience, I've overlooked, I think, the privilege it is to um, be permitted into a country. You know, there are numerous situations why people are denied, and we don't need to get into that. But the fact that we get to be accepted is a privilege, you know, and I'm only in America because my husband's job brought him here and has us be here. And, you know, whilst we don't intend to make it a lifelong presence, we are here for a duration of time because the job is quite a long duration. And it is a privilege, and I'm not sure I've seen it that way. So thank you for that. And well, I think I take it for granted. So I think that is a really interesting point. That it is a privilege, and I love the celebrating the differences. You know, and the thing I really picked up on in your speaking was owning yourself. When you are one of the crowd, you are just one of the crowd, and you can blend in, and when you're clearly, I remember it was so funny when we lived in Lagos, because you know, even though my husband's an African, they knew he was British just from his slight style of dress, the moment he opened his mouth, even though he could speak some of the local language. And obviously I stood out. And so we were different every day, and yet we really immersed ourselves into the environment, the way we worked there, the way we lived there. And, you know, I didn't live among expats or anything like that. And I was really glad not to. And I was really well received and appreciated. And I think I got access to a life that I wouldn't have had if I'd lived in the expat environments. So,
I do think that as we travel, I think everybody should travel, really,
mm,
because I think the more you travel, the smaller you see how your world was,
mm,
and that there's more out
mm,
there. Don't
mm,
just read about the pyramids, go see the pyramids.
mm,
Maybe not today with what's going on in Gaza. Maybe you want to, go another time. But there is, I mean, there's so many opportunities, and the food that I've tried out here has been different. And I still remember when I had my first pizza with pumpkin on it. And I was like, what is this? Like, what is this? Like, you ruined the pizza. And they put this big blob of cheese in the middle, of the pizza. And I remember it took me a while, so when you get a pizza in America, you get like a pizza, like a medium, and you share it with everybody. When you get a pizza over here, like you probably noticed when you went to Milan, or it's yours. You don't
mm.
share it. You just use a knife and fork and eat it as you want. And so when my pizza came with burrata cheese and pumpkin and salsiccia sausage, I remember looking at it going, I don't know what to do with this. You don't like ham and pineapple, but I'm not sure I'm okay with sausage and pumpkin. And it ended up being the best pizza I've ever had in my life.
And finally, I want to ask you, you come from a family of migrants, clearly, you know, as in your family has moved and been comfortable with moving, maybe challenged, but you know, made it something they can do. Do you think your own children will continue? You've obviously continued it. Do you think any of your siblings and children might continue the trend of migrating?
Um, that's a hard question because sometimes when you are so comfortable with your life,
Mm,
you don't want to do that. You don't
mm,
want to leave that, even though you know there's more out there. They like to
mm,
visit. I would hope that they would, but they all kind of live interlinked where they're close enough that if they need something, they're right there.
mm,
So I mean, I don't know that they would. I don't know. I
mm,
I do have a sister that is wanting to move to Italy, but she hasn't proactively, I don't know all what she's doing, but I know proactively it's not the right timing for that.
Mm,
My children, I hope that they will, move in other countries. Not that I'm saying move out of America or move out of London or move out of, but I think to go and explore and maybe even just live somewhere for a month,
mm,
because there's so
mm,
many remote ways that you can work and
mm,
support yourself that you don't necessarily need to be on site anymore. So I think, giving yourself that opportunity, my daughter had the opportunity to go to the UK to be a nanny. And it was 6 months and she's like, I didn't really see anything. I said, but you lived here.
mm, mm,
How cool is that?
mm,
And and so I think as they get older, they either want to stay home a little bit more,
mm,
or I think when we hit like a certain mile mark in our years that we say, oh, it's too late for me, or hey, my life is just starting. For me, it just kind of happened that the whole slate just got cleared, as if to say, God's given you a second wind. It's
mm,
time to, so, and I feel actually younger than I was, 10
mm,
years ago. I feel like really that I have a second wind. So truly, I don't know if all of my brothers and sisters will move out or my
mm,
children,
mm,
but I'd like to be able to break the cycle in the family that if they choose to,
mm,
they can, that they go, hey, Aunt Joe did it. And,
mm,
maybe it's,
mm,
but I would, whoever's listening, I would encourage you that if you have the opportunity to, it is scary, it is a hard decision, you know, and like you said, you can always go home and you will never know unless you go and I do have a couple of friends that are military that have gone to different countries and they've been stationed where they've had no option but to go.
mm,
You are moving to this place, you are moving here. And they always say it was the best experience that they've ever had, even
mm,
though they were afraid to go. That it just opens, and then you open yourself up to different cooking, different cuisine, different, like for me, if I'd never lived in Canada, I would never have a love for East Indian food,
mm,
which I would never have known about it, because I would have just lived where I lived. And now I'm open, as long as it's not something I'm allergic to, I'm down. Let's do it.
mm.
Sometimes you have to close your eyes and eat it. Okay. All right, I'm not looking, but it tastes good.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, it's really exciting because this is your time. You have made the move for yourself and you are making it work and you're discovering these incredible opportunities that you're now living into. So I'm delighted for you, delighted that you've made this a reality. Your dream is a reality. And like you said, there are challenges. It's not always easy, but you are making it happen. And yeah, and I'm delighted that you've shared it with us. And yeah, thank you very much. Really,
Thank you
really
for
lovely to
thank you
be with
for
you.
thank you for having me, and thank you for making the same choice too.